I'm giving everyone a... Can you go see what the orientation is on the laptop? Okay, well, we're gonna move the tripod back then. Everything's fine. Can you move the podium this way a little bit? Yep, you're good. You can start whenever.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ben Nelson. I'm a project manager with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in the St. Paul district. Tonight, we're here to talk about the environmental assessment and feasibility report for the Lower Pool 4 Big Lake Habitat Rehabilitation and Enhancement Project. The QR code up here on the slide directs you to our website. You can find more information, links to the report itself, appendices, other things like that. So the project we're talking about today is part of the Upper Mississippi River Restoration Program, UMRR. This has been around since 1986, and as a district in St. Paul, we've done projects from the Twin Cities down to Pool Town. So on the map here, you can see some of the projects that we have that are currently in planning, design, construction. These projects are what we call HREPs, or Habitat Rehabilitation and Enhancement Projects, for fish and wildlife habitat restoration. That's one of the two elements of UMRR, the other being the long-term resource monitoring part of the program. So these are, this program, or this piece, informs some of the projects that we do, or the HREPs that we do, through monitoring up and down the river, and giving us the data to better inform some of these decisions. The star there is what we're talking about today, Big Lake, and we're in the planning or feasibility side of the project. Specifically, we're here in Lower Pool 4. In 2020, there was a fact sheet developed that identified Lower Pool 4 as an area to do habitat restoration. It's kind of broken up into three phases. There's Big Lake on the Wisconsin side, Robinson Lake on the Minnesota side, and then Tank Pond and Buffalo River also on the Wisconsin side. Phase 1, Big Lake, that we're talking about today, is ongoing. Phase 2 is also currently ongoing, and then we have the potential future of Phase 3. This land, and specifically the Big Lake area that we're talking about, is highlighted in the yellow circle, and that is part of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service refuge. Some of you might remember being here a little over a year ago. For Big Lake, we had a kickoff meeting here. Similarly, we had maps out in the hallway, like you see today, and we were here to answer questions as well. Since then, we've been able to add some more information to our website. The team worked really hard on developing this environmental assessment and feasibility report, which is also up on the website. But you can also sign up for our email list. So if you send an email to this email, biglakehrep@ustates.army.mil, or sign up on the sign-up sheet outside, we can make sure you get updates on Big Lake, Robinson Lake, and future projects related to this. So speaking of Robinson Lake, that's actually phase 2. We'll be here in about a little over a year. That one we met in this same room earlier this year for scoping or kickoff. That project's about a year behind Big Lake. So like I said, thinking about the feasibility report in a public meeting a little over a year from now. Probably late 2024 or early 2025. I think I mentioned a few times, but we're here for the environmental assessment of the EA and the feasibility report. This is an integrated or combined document where we're looking at the Corps of Engineers planning processes and feasibility, or determining what we're going to do for the project, and the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, which is where we have the EA. So for that, we have a public comment period that started October 12th. It goes till a week from Friday, November 17th. So if you have comments, please have them in by November 17th. But the report itself summarizes a number of things that are relevant to the project. So the goals and objectives, the alternatives that address those objectives, the benefits from different measures and features that we've included, and the costs of those, and then a comparison between the different alternatives that we've developed, ultimately leading to a tentatively selected plan, or TSP. This also includes the analyses of the existing conditions, what future conditions may be, and some of the public involvement, things like this meeting today or the meeting we previously had here. For the project, we had 4 main objectives. That was for bottomland forest habitats, aquatic vegetation communities, flowing channel habitats, and backwater habitats. We use those objectives in developing and determining our alternatives, and then also the comparison of those alternatives. So when we started this process, we wanted to look at some historic maps, see what kind of features were out there in the Big Lake area, back before the dams. You see here in this photo in 1939, get an idea of what some of these features might look like. So from there, we started to develop potential features that we could put on a map and use that to model and see to make sure that what we've included wouldn't change the flood stage. So we started adding features to the point where, okay, we can't go any more than this, because then we would start looking at flood stage impacts. With that, then we started at, okay, what is the minimally acceptable to the T? What's the smallest thing that we would build? And that became Alt 2. Alternative 1 was the no action alternative, and then alternative 2 being the minimum alternative. From there, we built, on top of that, adding features, adding measures to alternative 2, all the way up to alternative 10, which is the maximum, the largest alternative, and the maximum for without creating flood stage impacts as well. So, like I said, there's alternatives 1 through 10, and we evaluated these with looking at our objectives, but also looking at some models, looking at the habitat for floodplain forests, waterfowl habitat, fish habitat, and looking at what the benefits of the different alternatives would be, and then also looking at the cost effectiveness. This is a relative comparison between the different alternatives, where we were looking at what would be the best buy. Those are what alternatives that we identified that were the most efficient or would provide the greatest increase or the least increase in cost. We also had to consider the program perspective. The UMRR program, like I said, develops projects up and down the river. So we do have a certain amount of funding that we get from Congress, and we had to think about that as we're planning future projects moving forward, going from planning to design to construction, and think about how much we could spend there. So with that, we came up with the 4 best buy alternatives. Those would be alternative 2 in the upper left-hand corner. That had one island, minimal features, and was the smallest action alternative that we were willing to accept. Then you have in the upper right, we have alternative 6, which balances more of the features and islands with the overall cost of the project. You have alternative 8 at the bottom left, which includes some additional dredging and additional placement of material. This is included in a number of the alternatives and in the general alternative 6. The environmental assessment portion, or talk about the environmental assessment, that's under the National Environmental Policy Act. What that does is, as a federal agency, we're required to look at the environmental effects of proposed action before making a decision. So when we're looking at that, we want to make better informed decisions, and we want to give the public a chance to provide input, to comment, and to review the documents themselves. So that's part of why we're here today, so that you all can have the document, and then we can hopefully help explain some of these things. But then we also ask that you provide us back with comments. One thing that I think is helpful for folks when thinking about the comments is this isn't if we get so many people to say pick this one or pick that one. It's really about the information and the details. So backing things up with references, coming with information is very helpful for us, and it provides a more effective comment for you as well. So if you have thoughts on specific additional information or type of analysis we should use, or if you think that there's some error or something to correct, those are the helpful types of comments for us. Again, the date for that, for the comments, is November 17th, so that's a week from Friday. That would be for the environmental assessment for you to please provide comments. You can do that by the comment cards outside, the email address. You can mail them to us on paper. Sorry, but yeah, that would be a week from Friday. We have asked that you provide those comments. After that, this is all pending federal funding, but we would be continue working on the report, work on finalizing the report into next year, and then we would look at initiating some of the more specific designs, getting more detailed designs, and some of that refinement I mentioned, and then completing design late 2025, whereas this project, like I said, pending funding and the overall program coordination, will go into construction in 2027. So that's all we had for the presentation, but we'll certainly stick around for questions. We have like I said, the maps outside, handouts that people can take a look at as well. But yeah, if you do have a comment or question today, I would ask that if you want to be included in the environmental assessment, part of the documentation, that you also submit it as a comment in writing, just to make sure that we don't misquote or mischaracterize something you said, so that we can make sure that we cover it. Thank you, folks, on the live stream. We'll leave it at that. You can always email us at the Big Lake Day Trip email, Elliot's email up here, or my own, which are also up on the website. But thank you for joining, and have a good night.